lunch. It's already 12. It is time for lunch with me, with Claudia Müller. And looking a little bit around the world and seeing what is going on in coaching, perhaps a little bit of psychology. If you have never been in this workshop series, or I would say it would be alive, then welcome. And yeah, just having here some inputs, mainly because of belonging, and this belonging, how challenging it is to feel belonging in different countries or in different systems. So here we're trying to understand what is happening and how to manage and navigate through changes. The topic of today that I chose was authenticity. Authenticity has a challenge. Mainly, it's an inner conflict, the challenge within you. What happens there? Because authenticity, you will need it for belonging. But what can we do? How can we navigate it? How can we keep being authentic to don't lose ourselves? Let's check a little bit out. First, of course, I have my questions for you. If you want, you're looking at the video later on, then try to answer to these questions, make a pause, a break, and answer to them to then go on. So here on the topic of authenticity, I want you to think, when you hear the word authenticity, what comes into mind for you? What is authenticity for you exactly? When you have defined it, then try to look for one word, only one word that would describe your sense of being yourself at work or in a new cultural thing. Mainly when you're new somewhere in a new environment, what would be one word? Mine would be, for example, I'm curious. When you have your word, then think about an example of a time when you felt really authentic. You felt, okay, this is me, this is authentic. What was it there that made it possible? What are the things that you need around you to be able to feel authentic? If you have your answers, keep it with you. Now we want to understand what happened here. So everybody has their own notions of what it is to be authentic. But what does it actually mean? And mainly, how can you keep being authentic while you're adapting to a new environment? How can you do this? Authenticity, of course, is always challenged when you are in new environments. Because there's uncertainty, you don't know anymore how you want or need to behave, I think, or it challenges it, are new situations. So how can you keep being authentic there? If you have been in the first live workshop we had of this series, then you will remember the first stage of adaptation is the honeymoon phase. When you just arrive, you're curious and you just let yourself have a shower of input to just observe what is around you, the environment. And it's usually very superficial, meaning you just have input and you try to fit in, understand what's around you, and you just fit in. And we follow with the flow. We do a roam what the roams do. That is also a thing when I was a little. And we just adapt, but we only do what the outside is telling us because we think, okay, we want to fit in, we want to understand this thing. We go with the flow, we just let ourselves go, which is okay, and you can do it. But be aware until what are your boundaries, until what stage you can do that. So where can you arrive with this without losing your true self? And real authenticity, of course, comes with time, self-reflection. Each moment where you have new things, you get to know yourself. Sometimes, have you had this moment where you are in a new situation? For example, that happened to me when somebody wanted to rip me off. I reacted in a completely new way. I didn't know I would react. And this was a new situation for me. So be aware of yourself. Just see what happened there. Understand yourself. Why did you were reacting in this way? So make a lot of self-reflection. Understand yourself, what is in there. Yeah. And what is actually authenticity and what is not authenticity? Because nowadays we use the word authenticity for so many things that we have to be clear what it actually means for you. Mainly, it is a challenge, an inner challenge when you're in a cultural shock and you want to adjust because, of course, you're in a new environment and there is always this pressure from outside that you adapt. If you don't adapt, you feel that you're outside, and there's a normal human need of us to feel belonging, to feel part of something. So what we do, we try to fit in, but this is pressure from outside, and that makes it actually very challenging. But authenticity means even if there's this pressure, staying true to yourself, even not knowing what is going to happen. You don't know if if this new environment is going to accept you or not. But keeping and trying to stay true to yourself. But of course, we also have this need for social acceptance. And that can be challenging. So what we can do is just being kind with ourselves, compassionate, and go step by step, refining, gradual adjustment. You can adjust from one moment to another. In the small things, in small acts, you redefine yourself. You observe, you see what is wanted from you or what is needed to fit in here, and then you check in with yourself. What does it makes you feel, and how can you adapt it or integrate it in yourself, keeping these values and this worth that you are needing. So you can adapt step by step, situation by situation, getting to know yourself, checking in with you, and understanding also the outside and seeing how can I integrate it without betraying my values and myself. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then we have the next steps where it's adjustment and really, really feeling belong. How is authenticity and adaptation? Because you want to be yourself with all your characteristics, the things that make you you, but also you want to adapt to be in the group. So the cultural shock is when you can see how big is the gap between the adaptation, how much you have to still have in the way to adapt, and your authenticity. It is completely different than me. It is two completely different words. So there's much work to do. If you see that it's a culture that actually has the same values as you, and you feel comfortable, even familiar most of the things, you see, okay, the gap is not that high. So this is the cultural shock, if it's big or not. And here you can check out how the gap is. So what is the journey to go on and improve step by step? Of course, in our nature, we want to avoid conflict. Why? Because conflict in our head is kind of a saying to us, when we conflict, then we break and we don't belong anymore. So in our head, we avoid conflict because we want to fit in, we want to be part of it. But the negative side of it is that you're repressing yourself. So you can be in the group, but not being yourself. It means you are not in the group. Your body, perhaps, but not you. And this means you give the impression of being inauthentic. So people can see that you're doing the things that they want you to do, but they can also see something that it's not truthful. If you see somebody that is not acting out of their truth, you kind of don't trust them because it's inauthentic. So what happens here? It is actually happens exactly the opposite of what you were trying to do, to fit in, to feel belonging. But if you don't bring yourself in as well, then it's not your authentic self. So it feels inauthentic and people don't trust you. And then you get withdrawal of the social and professional context. You actually get burned out. So that's why it's important also to keep yourself and bring yourself in. And the feeling at home phase, where you're already completely adapted, and if you arrive to this phase, this is when you can achieve this balance and flexible adaptation. So meaning that you can read the room, you understand what are the needs of the others, but you also understand yourself and know what is important for you and bring yourself, your whole self in with your flaws and all your positive things, and keeping in mind and also observing and understanding your surroundings. So a little bit of here to point out why it is so difficult to be authentic for us. In this phase of cultural shock shows us how different we are from our external world. And what happens with this? If we feel very different, this develops stress within us and insecurities. And when we are in a stress phase, then it's really hard to connect to ourselves, our needs and our values. So we actually don't even know what we want, what we are, who we are, what is important for us. And that is stressful, and that's why it's important to have regulations, know how to regulate stress while being in a cultural shock, because it's stressful, how to navigate it so that you keep connected with yourself. If not, it's very difficult to actually feel at home one day. And the ability to adapt, it's like the chameleon, looks always in their surroundings. It's always adapting, but not looking inside of themselves. And this gives exhaustion because that is energy draining. You're only focusing on your surroundings. And if you see everybody wants something different from you, if you let it go through, your son wants something from you, your boss wants something for you, everybody wants something different from you. And you will never, ever, ever fulfill expectations from everybody that is asking you things. But it is really energy draining. So you have to keep connected with your values. And from there on, then you can go on. And this is something that also all your surroundings will appreciate. So this is a balance act. So authenticity requires to be balanced. Being aware of your surroundings, what are the needs, but without losing yourself. Meaning, where are your boundaries? What is important for you? What is something that you're not going to do? So, okay. And how can we be authentic in the relationships? Also a really, really important topic. And authenticity, you can't be authentic from authenticity from one day to another. You have to get to know yourself to be able to know how to be authentic. And this takes time. So be gentle to yourself, be kind. And of course, it also takes practice. How to communicate what is important for you as well. So building authentic relationships, it's just a gradual process. You are not from one moment to another. As you see the honeymoon phase, first you have to get to know the other person, know what their needs are. And then check in with you. And then you see what are the little things that where you can relate, and what are the things that you can adapt but still are truthful to yourself. So authenticity doesn't mean ignoring others. No. It means acting with empathy, meaning you understand the others, understand their needs, but also keep in with yourselves. Being able to say no, you empathize, but if you don't feel like that is something that you are willing to do, and it's important for you to keep your values, then that is also acting with empathy and always acting from I messages. I feel like I can't do this. I understand you have the need to communicate right now, or you have the need to be right now with me. And I have right now the need to have distance, to be by myself. So not blaming the others, understanding the others, but also communicating what is important for you. So I have already talked a little bit around it. How can you come to more authenticity in social relationships? Is set healthy boundaries, like I was doing the example right now. Right? For example, the boss comes and tells you, I want this for now. And he says, I can understand that you need this document right now. I will be able to facilitate it to you in 2 hours. So you say what you can do and what is within you. And of course, this constructive feedback. Meaning, if we go on with the example of the boss, saying, I understand that you see these as urgent, but asking me to have things right now makes me feel very stressful and not being respectful with my time. I would like, or I need, that you give me a notice of at least 2 hours in advance for this task to be able to conform to your needs. Okay. So here the goal is to stay true to yourself and at the same time not harming the relationships. I hope this was very clear with the examples I gave. This was at work and in the social relationships. There's also this professional tension. I already gave an example of the boss, and because many times people say you have to lose yourself, you don't have to be authentic, you can't be authentic in a workforce and in the workplace because that is not professional. Well, this is exactly the opposite of professional in my point of view. Because exactly when you know how to put your boundaries and give an understanding and give solutions, what is within your hands to be able to do, it's more professional than saying yes to everybody and burning out and not being able to give anything to your boss because you are only burning yourself. So I do see this as professional. If we are in this professional context and you have a new role, we also have these adaptation phases that we can see here in the career development. For example, in the honeymoon, when you begin, of course, you're very excited to having a new role. But you're very fast, it's a learning curve. You come into this cultural shock where you say, okay, this is frustrating. I can't understand it. I don't know what's going to happen. It's new. You don't know what happens when you do this event or do this project because you're new. You don't know how the process is and how it works. So this frustrates you, not knowing what's going to happen. It's normal. And adjustment means that you find routines. Find every time something, the little steps and achievements, keep them with you. And make them into routines because you already know what is working for you. And this step by step, it will build up. And then you will adjust. And then you will even improve your company. And feeling at home, it's kind of this balance between adaptation and authenticity. So when you want to have when you want to be in a long-term motivation in your job or in your workplace, and keep on motivated, not only for 1 year, but long-term in this professional setting, then it is important to show authenticity and meaning to live according to your values. You have heard already a little bit out. Being authentic is being aligned with your values. So it's important to get to know your values. And belonging acceptance grow when we embrace our uniqueness as a resource. Many times I hear here in Germany, well, I'm the Ausländer, I'm the not the German one. Well, that makes you unique. And this is actually a really big resource that all the other Germans don't have. So you can do bridges between cultures, from two perspectives, cultural perspectives. So that is actually an asset, something that you can bring as an intercultural person and an intercultural identity you can create if you integrate both cultures within you. Then you have even a wider perspective. Okay, we have already talked about not being truthful with yourself and your values is authenticity. And sometimes people think about brutal honesty, just saying out everything that you really think. What is the difference here? Gradual adjustment phases, when we are in this phase, shows how we can approach ourselves, always checking in with yourself. Is this aligned with my values? And how to approach the other ones, meaning, that's what I was saying, with empathy, with humor. That means without losing yourself. You can be empathetic with the others and checking in and be empathetic with yourself. And this is in a responsible way. Meaning authenticity, as I said before, it's based on the values and is a responsibility. You are responsible of everything that you're saying. In contraposition, brutal honesty means to be really direct, it's unfiltered, and it's often not having in consideration your environment, what it will do to your environment. And that is actually something that is important that you also take into account. As I said, you have to be responsible at what you're saying and what you're doing. Brutal honesty, it's not a responsible act. So putting in a little bit more synthesized, authenticity is empathy and responsibility. Brutal honesty is just a shock, direct, unfiltered. And often it is ignoring the others, which that is not very helpful when you're adapting to the culture. Not for you and not for the others. So how to achieve greater authenticity? First, recognize which phase you are in. Are you in the cultural shock, where it is the phase where you are really insecure and stress loaded? So check out stress management tools and so on, how to navigate it. Or are you already feeling at home? Perhaps you had like a really mini cultural shock phase and you feel right away at home, it means the gap of adaptation is really small. You're balanced. So try to think, where are you? Next step, of course, this insecurity. It's the chance and the gifts that they are giving you to understand yourself a little bit more, get to know things about yourself. So develop self-reflection tools. Write things down, journal. There's also this philosophical meditation. Well, if you do some programs with me, you will know a little bit about it. And mainly also get stress management techniques, emotional regulation. Next episode, I will also talk about how you can work with your feelings, with your emotions, why it is important, and why to do this, so that you can be resilient and be handling the pressure without losing yourself. Remember, stress, if you're only in a stress level, you are not able to connect to yourself, your inner values. And without being connected to those ones, then you can't act from within you. So practice active listening. This develops more the empathy. And this is the base for authenticity in yourself and others. And of course, get to know your values clearly and use them as a guide. There are many methods how to get to know them. I also can help you out if you want to in one-to-one sessions. We can check out what are your values if you still don't know or it's not clear which are your values. So, why is authenticity difficult? When we begin cultural shock, it's where we meet the external differences. We're different. And that, when we're different, triggers insecurities within us. These insecurities develop stress. And then we are in stress, it makes it much harder to connect with our own needs and values. And not being connected with it, then we are only guided through our outside, through the external world. And then we try to adapt everywhere. If you want to adapt to everybody that in the outside that wants something from you, it just, you're trying to fit in based on the others, but that comes into exhaustion. So it is not helpful for anybody. So authenticity requires a balance between reading the environment, but not losing yourself. Being connected with your values is a guide. So how to know what your values are? Well, that's something that we can work out in a session if you wanted to book a session with me. But you begin with your beliefs. That's what we always try also in coaching and psychology, to work with your beliefs. Because your beliefs become your thoughts. And your thoughts become your words. And your words become your actions. And your actions become your habits. And your habits become your values. And your values become your destiny. So the values that you have is where you want to go. And everything begins with the beliefs. Beliefs come also from the culture you were raised in, your family. What are the things that you believe in? Okay. And we can, of course, having a checkout that is for that is coaching and psychology, to understand what are my beliefs, where do I come from, what do I really believe, and you see what all of this, what the beliefs come through and end up in your values. And that actually makes it your destiny, your life. So for the end, as usual, here a short exercise. Think of a time where you were in a new environment. It can be a new job, it can be in a country, new team. How was it that you adapted? Just get to know what tools or resources do you have. How could you adapt? Were you mainly adapting through the things that the others said? Or were you also adapting, saying, within the team, within the job, within your boss, what is not negotiable and what is important for you as well, and negotiate? Did you feel you had to change who you are, or did you find a balance? Try to understand, how is your path? How is it that you actually adapt? How do you work with internal and external resources? So what's next? When you have this clear, you understand how you could observe how you actually adapt. Perhaps some saw that they're more focused on the outside, some only on the inside. But try to think, how can you achieve balance between reading the room and without losing yourself? And having the observation of these situations that you just thought of, try to understand which are the core values that you acted on. Which are the core values that are more important that you would have liked to achieve? And then when that is clear, try to think, what could be the good first step for more authenticity for you? Okay, and that's it. Another lunch with Claudia. Hope you enjoyed it. Could have some tools, some input, some thoughts, how to try to understand yourself, how to have a next step to being more authentic. Because my belief is to achieve this real belonging. It's the most important thing to being human. It is a human need and not only fitting in. And I'm convinced it is based on living your values and the things that make you unique, that are actually your strengths, makes you unique. So who am I? I'm an identity expert. I'm also a systemic and emotion coach and a diploma psychologist. What do I actually do? I support people that want to find clarity, that want to be resilient, emotionally stable, and who want to have a personal growth, who want to grow. And this also across cultures, in the different cultures they're going, because we're not only nowadays only one culture, or systems, or life transitions every time when there are changes. So what I can offer you is a space, a safe space where you can define yourself in an authentic way. And especially during change or intercultural shifts, or if in professional and personal transitions, these are the moments where identity, cultural background, and individual growth intersect. So I can support you or accompany you mainly in the challenges, moments, which are often accompanied with stress, difficult decision, and self-doubt. And for that, also my focus or the topics that many people come to me are topics of intercultural transitions or identity questions. Something is coming within them. They're trying to understand who they are. They're seeing they're not the ones they thought they would be. You're not happy in your job, career reorientations, or you have a big decision to make, this job, the other, moving to my partner to the other country, or having a child. Those kind of topics, decisions, life decisions. So stress management, as you saw, to be able to connect with yourself, to be able to manage stress, and to develop here for self-worth and emotional regulation, emotional stability. Also to keep on being resilient in dynamic environments. Nowadays, the only stable thing is the change. How to navigate through it. So many times, it's very different worlds, family and work. How to balance yourself, how to be authentic in both worlds. And of course, diversity inclusion. This is a topic that I love because I do love to have different perspectives and different people, but many times that also feel belonging, not just being there, everybody different, but also that the synergies that everybody can feel part of something. And this can be individually or within teams as well. So I have some questions for you. Do you want to have the feeling of real belonging? Do you want to drive and have your potential in other cultures as well? Also in new environments, your potential. You want to define your identity authentically, know who you really are, and you are the one defining it, not others. You want to improve your emotional resilience, emotional stability. You want to develop yourself in a professionally and personally way. You want to create your individual and authentic cultural adaptation strategies if you're, for example, moving from one culture to another. So I actually have a good program that is called Authentic in All Words, Coaching for Intercultural Discovery, Self-Discovery. And this is perfect for people that are moving from one to another, moving to a new role, or having these life transitions. It can be for all of them. And this program actually is a program that has 6 group sessions every bi-weekly, and in the weeks in between have individual coaching sessions. So a total of 12 weeks, 3 months, I can accompany you. And it can be started monthly. So always we can begin monthly to have this, and it lasts 3 months, as I already said. And the program, what does this support? What gives you this program? Self-reflection, get to know yourself, get to know your values, know what are your inner resources. It also will help you to understand how to have your own stress management, how to navigate through stress and through challenging times, which stress is coming, mainly time in transitions and so on, and how to navigate it, how to be able to be stable emotionally as well. And I would say this is the foundation for personal growth, emotional resilience, and real integration. I do have, if you are here, I also have an autumn special, I'm saying it, but it's mainly people that that want to have be part of this program, the bookings that come out of this video until tomorrow midnight can have even a 25% off. It is a lot. And of course, you can also have some percentage off, also 25% off for your first one-to-one session. If you're not interested in a whole program, but just want to have one session at a time, it is also possible. And you also will have 20% off if you want to. So this was Lunch with Claudia for today. And for next time in in October 24th, the topic will be emotional regulation. And I will try to explain why do emotions matter. If you're interested to keep being informed what is happening within Claudia Müller coaching, then I know it is link is for the newsletter. There you can subscribe yourself or give me just a message, because I know this link is very, very long. And then I can send it to you also per mail, so you can subscribe, and then you will be always noticed when there are some new things